and all you got was clitter clatter, bing bong bing of the chimes, and so it was kind of, oh no, idiot moment. Hello. It's been such a long time now since I got chatting to you on the setup, because I've had end of term assignments as a student and that has priority. But I've really missed doing this, and so here I am. A little catch up. Last night I went to a friend's together for Christmas kind of party, and several people took part. There was different music, and I was asked to bring some poetry. And for me, it turned out to be quite a life-changing event, really. As I'm thinking about it today, I feel like the genie has been out of the bottle now, or I feel like the genie has been let out of the bottle. But the thing about it was that I was performing, so to speak, 3 times, not just the once. And so that was a learning experience, and a sense of you can't just do one piece and hide. And I feel that that's uncorked something in me to say and do and speak more about what I write, what I think. So we'll see what that's going to bring. So last night's evening was themed on Incarnation, thinking about the coming of Christ at Christmas. And I brought along a little A4 sheet folded. So it's kind of like a wee Christmas card. Except, as I said, you didn't actually have to return the card, so it was like the best kind of Christmas card. And we started off by looking at this. So this photograph is taken from the first flight, as man is making the first flight. And it's actually 119 years, which is really not a long time in terms of lifetimes. And you think of the change that happened between this first flight taking off for a very short distance. But I was reading about it in a quotations book, and the thing that interested me was that there was a lot of information given about the headwinds and the speed and the distance of the flight. This was sent to the boy's father, and at the end it said, "Inform press, home Christmas." And I thought that was so amazing, that as the century is turning and as people's lives are going to be changed and transformed by this huge thing of flight, something that Leonardo da Vinci, even as a genius, struggled to make practical but had ideas about, and here it's happening. And the message that's sent to the parent is to say, tell the press, and we're coming home for Christmas. And I think that made me feel that everybody gets that question, what are you doing for Christmas? People ask it of you all the time, even no matter what you're doing, even if you've invented something absolutely amazing that's life transforming, you still get asked the question, what are you doing for Christmas? And it can be quite pressured. So the next thing I did was read out a poem by Malcolm Guite, which I find quite peaceful and restful. On the next page, so that's the first page, the next page was the reference for his website to go and hear him, because he actually reads his poetry. But for last night, I read it out, and it's called Singing Bowl. So if you feel at any point in Christmas that you need a bit of peace and quiet, or something to calm down, I totally recommend this. Here it is. Singing Bowl. Begin the song exactly where you are. Remain within the world of which you're made. Call nothing common in the earth or air. Accept it all and let it be for good. Start with the very breath you breathe in now. This moment's pulse, this rhythm in your blood, and listen to it, ringing soft and low. Stay with the music. Words will come in time. Slow down your breathing. Keep it deep and slow. Become an open singing bowl, whose chime is richness rising out of emptiness, and timelessness resounding into time. And when the heart is full of quietness, begin the song exactly where you are. So then we had some more music. We had a guy playing a guitar, and he had some amazing lyrics. For example, "We are different but identical," which I felt was the best theme of the whole night, almost the sentence to take away and live with. We are different but identical. And he also wrote a poem about birth, which was just amazing, and it was saying that you can't understand what's happening, but you get it in the chest. You have that heart response to what's happening. And an amazing little observation he put in, that lucky rabbit's foot comes from unlucky rabbits. So I love that. So then I read out my own poem, which was one I'd written kind of for this time of year, and inspired by Celtic Christianity, because I love the way it doesn't get all uppity about judging whether something is spiritual and holy or normal and practical or secular. And this is just a short 2-minute poem called "Something Old," and the way it ends is like a kind of blessing, so receive it as such. Something old. Have we made spirituality strange? Is it extraterrestrial? Should it be an anorexic purging of feelings? Is it about knowing undesired words, never good enough to deserve acceptance from prodigal God? What kind of life is it? Is it indoors with the windows closed, out of touch with our humanity? Is it chasing an emaciated perfection of severed bodies off our heads in a nonsense of our own intelligence? But for Mary, it was personal and painful, and in her own body, encountering God left her with stretch marks and a ruined reputation. For Columba, it was letting go the oars to drift at God's tides in the unknown sea. For Moses, it was searing fire, leprosy, healing, stopping his life on the run to confront his place of failure and a 40-year desert heaven. Holy can be energy and moving. Holy can be thoughtful and still. For Celtic sinner saints, it was thanks for home, hearth, animal, family, food. All you could touch and hold. All were of interest to heaven and good. So that was touching on the themes of incarnation, the whole idea of the body, the spiritual life, and what's going on in the body. And obviously at Christmas time, thinking about Christ becoming flesh, living among us, and yet coming from the divine. And then finally we ended with a choral poem, which was the wonderful words in John 1, which are talking about, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Nothing was made that was without him. And we did it in a different translation. There's one of the Bible recently called The Voice, which is setting out the Bible as if it's a play. So it will say the person's name and what they said. And so I gave each person had one little piece of paper with one of the words, and then we said it in order. So each person said one of the words, and to break it up and give us space to breathe and listen, there were chime bars. So you'd hear a chime at different parts. And the words are that we were reading together. If you imagine sort of dark and dim and little fairy lights and people, a different voice for each word, it was magical. Before time itself was measured, the voice was speaking. Chime. This celestial word remained ever present with the Creator. His speech shaped the entire cosmos. Chime. And I'd hoped to have a longer verse, but we didn't have enough people, so that was totally fine. I just had it that each person said one word, and we said it the first time around, and then the second time, as everybody had got the feeling of, yes, I know what I'm going to say, I know what the person before me is going to say, and it flowed. And it was interesting to hear the variety of voices and then what was being said. And I wound up by simply saying that there was a later verse I would have liked to include it if we'd had more people, which said grace and truth came from Jesus Christ, and wishing them that in the Christmas season they would find grace and truth with the people they're with and in the season itself. So that was really it. I mean, it's quite ordinary, and those were 3 different bits, and I bobbed up. Somebody would play a few songs and some lovely music, and then I would bob up and do my bit and sit down again. And it was phenomenal as a poetry reading experience, because I'm quite a shy person, or I'm not used to performance. So I would brace myself, stand up, do my 2 minutes, sit down again and go, phew, it's all over and done with. And instead I was going, right, that bit's done. I have to get the next bit ready. And of course, towards the end, when I had to bring up the chime bars and the little words on pieces of paper, someone had been helpful and unzipped the chime bars bag so that it would be, I could flip open the lid and take them out. But that wasn't the way I'd worked it. I grabbed by the handle and tried to take it to the front of the room, and all you got was clipper clatter, bing bong bing of the chimes. And so it was kind of, oh no, idiot moment. The kind of thing you'd see in a comedy film, to be honest. But I just kept going and just said what was happening. Oh dear, someone's unzipped this. And it was a group of people who were friendly, relaxed, and they weren't paying for the performance, and I wasn't being paid, and it was just people taking part together. So it worked okay. It was fine. So I think one of the takeaways from last night also is to encourage other people who are writing and starting to write, to say, take any opportunity you can get to read what you've written, even to 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, whatever. Practice it, record it with your video capabilities we now all have on our phones pretty much, and practice it, get used to it. Learn a few off would be good, because last night there was a lovely little dim room. It's very atmospheric, but I couldn't see the words on the page to read, so I had to get somebody helpful to come and stand by me and use their mobile phone, the little flashlight on their mobile phone, so I could actually see the words to read. And also I wish I'd made them bigger, because less light, and yeah, it would be good to have them too big and therefore so easy to read that you totally relax about seeing the letters correctly and reading the words right. But ideally, yes, learn off your poems. I think would be really good. Have 1 or 2 or 3 ready to go at any given point. I haven't explained the last bit on the card, which is this mystical table of words. And underneath it, you'll see I've advertised myself. I've said how to connect with me with YouTube and Facebook, which was also a useful thing. But this table is actually taken from the Wine Bible. And you'll find the words on Wikipedia under wine tasting descriptors. And they're such different words. So we all took a bit of time to pick a few words and read them. And then see what they were feeling like. What would they like to taste as words when you said different words? So for example, we've got flat, jammy, smoky, sour, cloying. And if you say those words, you can feel all your speaking parts moving and feeling the difference of texture of the words with your tongue and your throat and what's happening in the back of your throat, and even your nose and your breath. Each word is totally different, and of course that's the essence of good writing, is you find exactly the right word. And it's especially key in poetry, where you're usually working with far fewer words and you have to make every single one do several different things. So we did that, and that was a way of understanding about word being embodied, coming off the page and becoming part of our body, experiencing as we speak it, and then thinking about how that's what's happening in the Bible verse about the word becoming flesh, where the word is embodied and experiencing life and speaking through life. And so if grace and truth comes through Jesus Christ, then we can expect that if we read through the Bible about what he's doing or saying at any given point, there's going to be grace and truth being expressed not just being a word, but being lived out through a person. And the interesting thing is, earlier in the day I was watching Hidden Figures, which is the story of 3 black women who were key in NASA calculations, mathematics, and workings out to put man on the moon, to put man into orbit as well. And so I don't know if it's from that, but as I was being driven along to the evening, I thought, I wonder if, thinking about this idea of the word, that in a sense Christ was God's workings out. Not just the answer at the back of the book, but actually you could see God's workings in a person's life, expressing the words and the thoughts and who he was and is and his plans. So that's quite a new feeling, and I don't know, it's possibly going to have me, if I'd been born in an earlier age, that might have me taken and burnt at the stake. I don't know. But I'm not saying that it's a theology that everybody should believe. I'm just saying it's a fresh thought that came to me yesterday, that maybe thinking about Christ as the Word, that he is the workings out visible of God and God's thoughts towards us. So that's been quite a spiritual kind of thing. I hope you don't feel preached at. And I hope that you go away encouraged to let your own words loose into the world, whatever form. And that might be as simple as sticking them at the bottom of a birthday card or a Christmas card for the first time, and letting other people see what you're writing and thinking. Maybe a couple of lines just could be deeply meaningful. You just don't know where it's going to go. In a way, art is giving out gifts, and you don't know who's going to pick up on them and respond, and you do know that a lot of people are not going to get it, not notice, go and just move on to the next thing. But that for the occasional person, somebody else's words are going to be profound and interesting and something they think about for longer than 0.5 seconds.